In the headlines, NPC Commissioner abducted in Rivers, kidnappers demand 500 million naira. One injured as fight erupts in Ikare Akoko community, Ondo State. 1.6 million candidates to sit for 2023 UTME. Another foreign scene, Joe Biden at 80 announces 2024 re-election bid. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Updates. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for joining. Now the news in detail. The Federal Commissioner for Bayelsa State at the National Population Commission, Gloria Izuofon, has been kidnapped by unknown gunmen in Rivers State. And confirming the incident via telephone, the Public Relations Officer of the police force, Iringi Koko, said Izuofo was kidnapped on Sunday evening along with her maid and driver at Ogbakiki junction at the East-West Road. The NPC Commissioner was reportedly on her way to Port Harcourt for Brass, Bayelsa State, where she serves as Federal Commissioner when her vehicle was set on by kidnappers. As of Monday, the abductors are said to have made contact with the family and are demanding 500 million naira as ransom. The police PRO also revealed that the Commissioner of Police has deployed tactical teams to ensure she's rescued safe and unhurt. Men of the Nigerian police force have rescued a pastor, Nicodemus Ude, of the Nigerian Reformed Church in Edufu Egbu Isheke in Ebonyi State, which is Ebonyi local government area of the state. According to the information gathered, Ude was initially kidnapped and eventually let to go by his captors following a distress call by members of the public by his assistant, who was with him at the time of the incident to block the road. The kidnappers intend using the exit of the area with their victim. In a statement by the Ebonyi State Police Command spokesperson, SP Onome Onovekpayaya, the kidnappers were intercepted along Odofia Isheke and Odufu Egbo Isheke in Ebonyi State, and they abandoned the victim and took to their heels while exchanging gunshots with the police to pave way for the escape. The police spokesperson said that the Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Falaye Olaleye, mobilized his teams and the Division of Police Officer of Ebonyi Division to cordon off and barricade max out areas upon receiving the message that a clergy had been kidnapped. He said that the kidnappers were overpowered by the firepower of police, which led to one of them being neutralized and the arrest of two other principal suspects. Items recovered from the suspect include 2 AK-47 and 1 rifle, as well as 2 vehicles, including that of the victim. Now, the fragile peace in Ikare Akoko, the headquarters of Akoko Northeast Local Government area of Ondo State, was on Monday broken as there were heavy gunshots in the town. Youths armed with guns and other dangerous weapons unleashed terror, moving around the town and shooting sporadically. During the fracas, commercial activities were said to be grounded as nearby shops were hurriedly shut down and people fled the area. Channels Television gathered that a middle-aged man named Samiu Aliyu, a deaf and dumb, was shot. He's now receiving treatment at the state specialist hospital in the town. The spokesperson of the Ondo State Police Command, SP Fumilayo Dulamio Misoya, confirmed the incident. She, however, disclosed that policemen have been drafted to the area and adding that peace is gradually returning. Omisoya said a detailed investigation has been launched on the incident. The paramount ruler of the town, the Olukare Oba Akadiri Bomo, had last week appointed an acting chief imam for the central mosque, an action that sparked off a controversy in the town. The state government subsequently directed the monarch to nullify his action in order for peace to reign in the town. And President Muhammadu Buhari will depart Abuja for Accra on Tuesday, April 25th, to attend the third extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. According to a statement by his spokesman, Femi Adesina, the president is scheduled to participate and deliver remarks at the high-level discussion on strategies for strengthening peace and security in the fight against maritime-related crimes in the region. As the immediate past chair of the Assembly, the president had championed collective efforts by members of the region and the Economic Community of Central African States, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, the Gulf of Guinea Commission, and their partners to address and prevent piracy. Now to Adamawa State, where some residents in the state's capital on Tuesday besieged the YEDC operations office in Jamaica to protest the poor power supply and exorbitant bills issued to customers, especially during the just concluded Ramadan fast. They said some customers are charged as high as 30,000 naira monthly, a situation they said is unjust because of the epileptic nature of power supply. Other residents complaining that power is only available once a week while they remain in darkness for the rest of the week. At the time of filing this report, no YEDC staff was on ground to address the issue of the protesting customers. However, security operatives have manned the entrance of the building to restrain movement and forestall breakdown of law and order. Now to health matters, the House of Representatives says malaria still remains a major public health challenge in Nigeria due to many factors. The House spokesperson Benjamin Kalu, in a statement to commemorate this year's World Malaria Day, stated that 4 African countries, including Nigeria, accounted for over half of all malaria deaths worldwide. He said Nigeria alone accounted for 31.3% global malaria deaths, followed by Democratic Republic of Congo at 12.6%. The United Republic of Tanzania has 4.1% and Niger 3.9%. Kalu identified the challenges of addressing the malaria burden in Nigeria as donor dependence for intervention in the country. He noted that to address this, the sum of over $300 million has been approved under the World Bank and the Islamic Bank Impact Projects to address and complement donor support. The theme of this year's celebration is Time to Deliver Zero Malaria, Invest, Innovate, and Implement. The World Health Organization, WHO, says the R21 Matrix-M malaria vaccine, given provisional approval by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, still needs to undergo more trials. The trials are to be recommended by WHO. WHO country representative to Nigeria, Dr. Walter Malumbo, during a media party at the UN House in Abuja on Tuesday, also restated the importance and efficacy of the RTSS vaccine adopted by countries like Ghana and Kenya. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark World Malaria Day during Africa Vaccines Week and World Immunization Week, Malumbo also emphasized the need for proper policy funding and education in the effort to get Nigeria and Africa to zero malaria. He noted that 96% of world deaths and 95% of world infections from malaria occurred in Africa, while Nigeria contributed to 79% of Africa's unvaccinated children. The commonest and most important aspect of mobile phone is voice calls. Before now, it was among some of the few secured aspects of mobile phone. However, with advancement in technology, the privacy of phone calls have been taken away as leaked phone calls have exposed the fact that calls are no longer secured. In this report, Noel Sampson speaks with Nigerians on the rise in leaked conversations and what it portends for the future of phone calls.
Phone calls were usually regarded as private conversations between parties involved. Such chats have over the years stayed so. In recent times, calls are increasingly being leaked as the public space is frequently inundated with leaked conversations that are meant to be private. Technologically, there are apps that enable phones to record conversations, while some phones allow users to either manually or automatically activate call recording. Also, there are apps that enable third parties to tap phone lines of unsuspecting users to record conversation or access certain kinds of data. A tech expert, Deji Mike, identifies some of the signs that point to the fact that one's phones may have been hacked.
There are some basic signs to look out for to know if your phone is being tapped. Number one should be, I think, battery consumption. Once your line is being tapped, your phone is being tapped, your battery seems to do it more and get hot. The temperature of the phone gets hot because it's overworking beyond its capacity. Another thing to look out for is the data consumption, because it's transmitting somewhere else, another different device. The data seems to run down to get exhausted on time.
The recent gale of leaked conversations among relatives, colleagues, or friends have raised the level of distrust among many Nigerians who are wary of the kind of conversation they engage in during phone calls.
I prefer one-on-one conversation. Like a couple of times, if I had conversation with someone, maybe, I don't know, somehow I get to hear it from someone else. It has happened to me personally. So I prefer to see the person one-on-one, we discuss it. You get? Yeah, instead of phone calls.
For me, I don't really have trust conversation on phone because, this system of government now and the way of the civilization of technology. So they do hack system like phones, many things, even your WhatsApp, even the Facebook. They monitor the calls that come in, the calls that goes out, the chat, everything.
This scenario has made many to think of ways of holding conversations and restricting such to the parties involved without the likelihood of a leak to a third party.
Don't let your phone get to the wrong hands. As you don't, unlike those days, you can simply leave your phone with your kids or with your spouse or with your friend and walk away. You don't do that anymore because in a split second, they can gain access into your valid information. And there are some other websites also that are not really secured. Any website that does not have the HTTP is really not a secured site.
Despite the seeming distrust that such leaks promote, discussing over the phone has been known to help parties appreciate non-verbal cues like pitch and tone, as well as the silence in between. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at how children enjoy Eid celebration in their own ways. Details of this story and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is the news updates on Trust TV. A reminder of our top stories. We told you earlier that MPC commissioner abducted in Rivers, kidnappers demand 500 million naira. And one injured as fire erupts in Ikare Akoko community, Ondo State. Moving on to more news. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has commenced the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculations Examination nationwide. Data obtained from the examination body reveal that close to 1.6 million candidates across over 700 centers are expected to take the examination, which will come to an end on May 12, 2023, so as to give room for the registration for the direct entry examinations. Our correspondent who visited some centers in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, observed that candidates were being checked into the examination halls through the use of biometric verification machines. Though some candidates who spoke to our correspondent noted that they encountered hitches during the verification process, officials on the ground who spoke to our correspondent noted that all the glitches would be resolved. The examination was earlier scheduled to commence on Saturday, April 29, 2023. The board, in an earlier statement by its spokesperson Fabian Benjamin, explained that the change in the date of the UTME was to accommodate some other major and critical national assignments. Barely days after Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria, children in rural communities of Katsina State continue to pay Salah visits to relatives, family and friends. In this process, gifts in cash or material exchange hands in appreciation, a situation that makes relationships solid, all in the spirit of Salah. The transfer of culture and traditions from one generation to another has been sustained, especially amongst Hausa Fulani of northern Nigeria. Abdullahi Yamadi visits some rural communities in Mani, Rimi and Kaita local government areas of Katsina State and filed in this report.
From generation to generation, some beautiful Hausa Fulani cultures have persevered down the years. Many cultural practices have, on the other hand, suffered a serious setback, while few others are either at the verge of extinction or distorted. Happily, the tradition of Hausa Fulani people to organize some cultural events which spans at least a week after each Salah festival is still going strongly. Children save some pocket money to enable them attend and participate in some plays and performances at some of these cultural events. The children have their own unique ways of spending their savings like this. Many have forgotten this local drink, Kolora, at marketplaces during each Salah festival in northern Nigeria. For these children, the choice is Kolora, while other kids prefer this. However, some children are not only here for this plays and performances, but are here to make new friends, hang out, and pose for photographs at Jani Village Square Photo Shop. Some elderly people speak on the rich cultural heritage and its socio-economic impact on the residents. As far as I know, this culture has been here for over 50 years, and each Salah, children converge here to enjoy themselves their own ways. We have special drummers, dancers and singers, mostly at night. Observers say traditions and cultures like this may soon disappear if nothing is done urgently to improve, consolidate and preserve them. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katina.
What a way to uphold the culture and tradition there. Thank you, Yamadi. And now on the international scene, President Joe Biden announced on Tuesday that he's running for re-election in 2024, plunging at the record age of 80 into a ferocious new White House campaign to finish the job. After a series of big legislative wins and momentous foreign policy struggles in his first 2 years in office, Biden has no real challenger from within the Democratic Party. But in a campaign that may result in a rematch of the 2020 election against Donald Trump, he's expected to face constant and fierce scrutiny over his age. The veteran Democrat will be 86 by the end of a second term, even if a medical exam in February found him fit to execute the duties of the presidency. Many, including his own vote base, believe he's too old. An NBC News poll released over the weekend found that 70% of Americans, including 51% of Democrats, believe he should not run. 69% of all respondents who said he shouldn't run cited concerns over his age as a major or minor reason. Over the next year and a half, Biden will have all the advantages of incumbency backed by a united party, while Republicans are only just starting a messy primary season. Still on the international scene, the United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says that Sudan's warring generals have agreed to a 3-day ceasefire starting Tuesday after previous weeks to pass the conflict quickly disintegrated. Blinken said that the United States was also working with partners to set up a committee that would negotiate a permanent ceasefire in Sudan, where the conflict between rival generals descended into deadly violence 10 days ago. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the violence in a country that flanks the Red Sea, Horn of Africa and Sahel region risk a catastrophic conflagration that could engulf the whole region and beyond. He urged the 15 members of the UN Security Council to use their clout to return Sudan to the path of democratic transition after a 2021 military coup that followed the fall of longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir in a popular uprising. India will overtake China as the world's most populous country in the coming week, hitting almost 1.43 billion people, the United Nations, and on Monday last week, the UN's annual State of the World Population report said that the milestone would come by mid-year 2023. India is topping China due to both rapid growth in its own population and a decline in China's after hitting 1.426 billion last year. China's fall is heavily tied to decades of maintaining a strict one-child policy for married couples, which ended in 2016. In addition, its falling birth rates are also attributed to the rising cost of living and the growing number of Chinese women going into the workforce and seeking higher education. For India, which has taken much longer than China to get population growth under control, the fertility rate was 2.0 births per woman, just below the 2.1 replacement level. And now in sports, the richest man in Africa, Aliko Dangote, is reportedly close to sealing a deal to purchase a French team. Valenciennes FC, the French media outlet, claimed that the Nigerian, the 86th richest man in the world, would initially take over the 60% stake of the Eddie Zidajic family and would thereafter look to gain full control of the club, which was established in 1913. The 110-year-old club has spent an equal amount of time playing in League One and League Two, having played 40 seasons in the First Division and 36 seasons in the Second Division. They have never won the First Division, but have won League Two on 2 occasions. Valenciennes have also won the Compagnie Nationale and the Compagnie de France Amateur in 2005 and 1998 respectively. Some notable former players of the club include Argentina 1986 World Cup winner George Barugaca, Cameroonian legend Roger Milla, former Senegal national team coach Bruno Metsu, and former France national team star Jean-Pierre Papin. Aruna Quadri and Omar Assar will again take their rivalry to Nairobi, Kenya, when the 2023 African Cup holds from May 4 to 6 at MOR International Sports Center, Kasarani in Kenya. Aruna, who was forced by injury to concede the title in 2022 to Assar at 4-3, will be hoping to reclaim the crown following his recent form at tournaments across the globe. Currently number 12 in the world, Aruna is the highest ranked African in the world, which Ansar at 33 is the second best rated African. Current African best ranked woman, Dina Mashraf, who is present in fine form, and she will be up against compatriot and defending champion Hannah Goda, who claimed her first continental title in Lagos last year. And that brings us to the end of the news update at this hour. For more, you can follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.